Hello, welcome back to a new era, where Turboprop Plane Spotter now posts plane documentary videos. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a new plane that has just started flying. So without further ado, let's begin. The Boeing 777-9X. The Boeing 777X is Boeing's next-generation long-haul wide-body aircraft family and the successor to the older 777-300ER. It's designed to combine the huge capacity of classic 777s with newer technology from the 787 Dreamliner. Just recently, Lufthansa's first production Boeing 777-9 completed its maiden flight on May 7, 2026 from Payne Field in Everett, Washington. What makes this aircraft notable is that it's the first customer-configured production 777-9 to fly, not just a prototype. It already has Lufthansa's new Allegris cabin installed for testing. The Boeing 777-9 is the largest member of the 777X's family and features folding composite wingtips, new GE9X engines, improved fuel efficiency, wider cabin design. The 777-9 is enormous. It's longer than the older 777-300ER and is one of the longest passenger aircraft ever built. Originally, Boeing planned first deliveries around 2020, but the aircraft is now expected to enter service around 2027. Despite the delays, airlines still have hundreds of orders because the aircraft offers very high capacity and strong efficiency for busy long-haul routes. More about the 777X problems. The Boeing 777X program has faced a long series of technical, certification, and production challenges that pushed the aircraft years behind schedule. What was originally planned to enter service around 2020 is now expected around 2027. One major reason was the change in Boeing's certification environment after the two fatal 737 MAX crashes. Regulators such as the FAA began applying much stricter oversight to all new Boeing aircraft programs, including the 777X. Certification reviews became slower and far more detailed than Boeing originally expected. This affected software testing, flight test procedures, safety assessments, and documentation requirements. The GE9X engines also experienced several issues during development. Early testing revealed durability and compressor-related problems, which required redesigns and additional inspections. Because the engines are the largest commercial jet engines ever built, Boeing and GE had to carefully validate long-term reliability before regulators would approve the aircraft for service. Another significant setback happened during structural testing. In 2019, a cargo door on a test aircraft unexpectedly blew outward during a ground stress test while engineers were pushing the airframe to extreme pressure levels. The incident itself was part of certification testing and did not happen during passenger operations, but it revealed weaknesses that needed redesign and further analysis. The flight test program also encountered interruptions. In 2020 and later years, Boeing temporarily paused some test flights because engineers discovered issues involving the aircraft's pitch system and structural components connecting the engines to the wings. These findings required inspections and engineering fixes before testing could continue safely. Production and supply chain problems added even more delays. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted manufacturing worldwide, slowed parts deliveries, and reduced airline demand for new long-haul aircraft. Boeing also faced internal production quality concerns across multiple aircraft programs during this period, increasing pressure from regulators and airlines. Even with these problems, many airlines have continued supporting the 777X because the aircraft still promises strong fuel efficiency, very high passenger capacity, and lower operating costs compared to older large wide-body jets. Airlines such as Lufthansa, Emirates, and Qatar Airways still view it as an important future aircraft for busy long-haul routes. For Lufthansa, the 777-9 is planned to become a flagship long-haul aircraft alongside its Airbus A350 fleet. The airline intends to use the aircraft on high-demand intercontinental routes where its combination of large capacity, improved fuel efficiency, and upgraded passenger comfort can be fully utilized. The 777-9 will also gradually replace some older four-engine aircraft and aging Boeing 747 variants in Lufthansa's fleet over time. What is going to happen now? Now that Lufthansa's first production Boeing 777-9 has successfully completed its maiden flight, the aircraft will move into a much more intensive testing and validation phase before delivery. Boeing will use this specific aircraft for additional ground tests and flight tests focused heavily on cabin systems, passenger equipment, connectivity, and airline-specific operational checks because this is the first 777-9 built with a real customer interior instead of a prototype test cabin. At the moment, the aircraft is still wearing Boeing's temporary green protective coating rather than Lufthansa's full airline colors. Boeing has confirmed that the aircraft will receive the complete Lufthansa livery before delivery, but this will likely happen much later in the certification process once the company is confident the aircraft no longer requires major structural modifications or extensive factory rework. In the coming months, Boeing and the FAA are expected to continue certification flights using both dedicated test aircraft and production standard aircraft like Lufthansa's first jet. The program has already accumulated more than 4,700 flight test hours, but Boeing still needs to complete remaining certification stages before regulators officially approve the aircraft for commercial passenger service. Meanwhile, Lufthansa itself is already preparing operationally for the aircraft's arrival. The airline has received its first Boeing 777-9 full flight simulator at Frankfurt for pilot training, which is a strong sign that Lufthansa is beginning to transition from planning into real operational readiness. Based on current statements from Boeing and Lufthansa CEO Carsten Spohr, Lufthansa is expecting the first delivery in the first quarter of 2027, with commercial passenger operations planned for the summer 2027 schedule if certification remains on track. The Boeing 777-9 is also extremely important for Boeing in its competition against Airbus, especially as Airbus continues seeing strong global demand for the A350 family. Boeing views the 777X as its flagship next-generation long-haul aircraft and hopes it can restore confidence in Boeing's wide-body leadership after years of delays and certification challenges across several programs. The conclusion. In conclusion, Lufthansa's first production Boeing 777-9 represents far more than just another aircraft delivery. It symbolizes a major turning point for both Boeing and Lufthansa after years of development setbacks, technical challenges, and certification delays. The successful first flight demonstrated that the aircraft is finally moving closer toward commercial reality, while also giving aviation enthusiasts a first real glimpse of what future long-haul travel on the 777X could look like. If certification and production continue progressing smoothly, the aircraft is expected to officially enter passenger service in 2027, where it will become one of the most advanced and largest twin-engine airliners ever operated commercially. For now, the aviation world will continue closely watching every step of the 777X's journey as Boeing prepares to bring one of its most ambitious aircraft programs into service. So, what do you think about the Boeing 777X? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like, share and subscribe button to further support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.